Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fifth episode of Bank on Digital, Logate's own educational platform for all the bankers, mainly in the CE region, but almost anywhere. Today, we have a really interesting and I would say a hot topic here in the Western Balkans. It's the KYC and digital onboarding. I know most of the countries in the Western Balkans are in the process of implementing PSD2 regulation, or they are finished. Like in Montenegro, we're done with it. We adopted the bylaws, and we're expecting some first use cases at the end of this year. Therefore, we decided to invite our special partner today. Pablo Amilibia is the EMEA Partnership Manager at Veridas, Logate's chosen platform for biometric authentication and digital identity. Welcome, Pablo.
Thank you so much, Jovan. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation, and looking forward to speaking with you and responding to all questions that may arise during this webinar.
Perfect. And that brings me to my next point. If you have any questions at any moment, please feel free to use the chat and we'll be addressing them at the end of the session. So we'll be going with the program we planned, and then we will be addressing your questions. I know some of you joined in by mistake because of our settings earlier, but good thing we didn't say anything bad about any of the so good. We can start with that. So Pablo, can you first tell me a little bit about your background and how you came to become the EMEA Partnership Manager at Veritas?
Sure, thank you, Jovan. So, well, to start with, I'm 21 years old. I saw some of your past webinars. You talk with subject matter experts in online banking and so on, with more years of expertise. But in any case, my background is in economics and law. Then I studied an MBA in international trade, what brought me to Cuba, a very interesting and particular market. I lived in Havana and worked for the Spanish embassy, promoting trade and helping Spanish companies to settle down in Cuba. And after that experience, I moved to New York. So that was kind of a big move, as you can imagine. Cuba and the States are polar opposite markets, but it was a definitely interesting move. And I spent 3 years in the States, firstly in New York and then in Washington, D.C., where I worked for a furniture design company. And I was basically the person in charge of the company in the US, treating with architects and designers, promoting several projects and so on. So until that point, nothing to do with identity, nothing to do with banking. Well, I touched a bit of banking in Cuba, but not that much, to be honest. But then, as you know, 2020 brought a crude situation to all of us. The pandemic exploded, and that was the perfect timing to move back to my hometown, Pamplona, Spain, where I am basically, and I am actually located right now, even though I see that my geolocation in this webinar points out that I am located in sunny Seville, but that's not true. We've got a cloudy day in Pamplona today, but it is a beautiful town. Anyways, so this is the town where Veritas is headquartered. Veritas was born here in 2017. And I've been working for Veritas for the last 2 years and a half. It's a great pleasure to be here. Veritas is such a reference, not only in my town, but also in Spain when it comes to identity verification services. And it's considered one of the top companies worldwide, and definitely a great company to work in. And they really promote local talent, and that's what brought me here to Veritas. And since then, as I'm telling you, I've been working for 2 years and a half, mainly in sales towards banking and insurance companies, both via partners and direct sales. That's
Wow.
basically the intro, Jovan.
Thank you for that. I mean, I didn't even realize you're 21 years old. This is
31, yes, yes.
yeah, 31. I mean, like such a diverse experience working in these different markets and these different sectors. And finally, you touched upon banking and insurance. And that brings me one point you mentioned there is that Veritas is very known in Spain because it's a
Mhm.
Spanish startup, right? And it was born out of a big Spanish bank, right?
That's correct. Yes. As I said, we were born in 2017, and Veritas came to fruition after a joint venture between BBVA, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yeah.
BBVA is one of the largest commercial banks, not only in Europe but in Europe or in the world. And then Das Nano. Das Nano is a local AI company that has been active and operating since 2012. So basically, BBVA approached Das Nano back in the days. They had a problem. Local regulations allowed uh, remote identity verification for account opening, for instance, and that was enabled in 2016 and 2017. But BBVA was in search for a robust solution in order to onboard clients,
Mhm.
and that's basically our origin. We were born, or we exist because of fraud. We're experts in deterring fraud. We are the worst enemies of fraudsters, and that's how it all began 6 years ago. 6 years ago, 6 years might sound as a short period of time, but trust me, in the identity verification field and in the AI field, it is a lot of time.
Of
And
course.
during this course, we have gathered a lot of knowledge and expertise.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we all see what's happening with the growth of AI, and we'll touch upon that as well, and how that's misused right now.
Mhm.
But let's kind of give people like the background on KYC and digital onboarding. Obviously, today everyone's talking in banking about seamless customer experience
Mhm.
with least friction as possible in the customer journey. How does KYC play a role in that process?
So KYC, know your customer, is a key aspect in banking. It's part of anti-money laundering policies, and it's basically the starting point of everything. It is usually a legal requirement by regulatory bodies or by financial intelligence units, such as CEPLAC in Spain, and that's exactly the case I was just referring to. In 6-7 years ago, this financial intelligence unit enabled certain procedures to authenticate and validate the identity of users to operate online, to open accounts, to log in, etc., etc. So KYC is as I said, a key aspect. Organizations are required by law to know their customers, to know who they do business with, and therefore to verify their customers' identity. Um, just to give you a hint here, um, financial institutions are forced by law to do this, but in the past we carry out several analyses, and
Mhm.
we realized that the amount of fraud that financial institutions were facing was enormous. For instance, I can actually show you a slide. If you give me a
Yes, you can share
second.
the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a real case that we conducted 5 years ago, I believe. So right when we were starting.
It's going to take a few seconds to load.
Mhm.
Yep, we see it now.
Right case.
Duplicate identities.
Exactly, exactly. We have the capability, the technology to detect duplicate identities. So we carry out this analysis in an existing database of one of our foreign existing clients, and we just took a sample of 10,000 clients, and we detected more than 1,000 duplicate identities. And this is just a case. So we're speaking about more than 10% fraud. And this is just a particular example. This individual was detected 16 times in that database under different names. As you can see, he was Francis, Alex, Trevor, Duncan, Homer. But in any case, it was always the same person that opened different bank accounts with fake passports. Same picture in this case. He could have changed the picture, and we would have detected it anyway. But this is just to show you how important a proper KYC process to verify someone's identity is. So let me stop sharing.
And so we are all aware right now of the rise of AI and the challenges there, such as deepfake videos. In the past, I kind of said it in the promo that we kind of laughed at those videos of, Trump and Putin singing "Imagine" by John Lennon or something like that, and it was all funny. Everyone laughed, shared those videos, but now it's became like more of a threat in the financial industry as well, because people are using deepfake videos to kind of bypass all these or try to bypass all these obstacles that bank put up deliberately to detect any kind of frauds. How does Veridas actually combat that, and what are those solutions that you offer to the banking sector?
Okay, let me share my screen again. I have a few slides that will be really helpful in this case. So, as you said, Jovan, this is a very interesting topic. We are living in a totally interconnected world nowadays, and fraud is really escalating, and fraudsters are always trying to be one step ahead. But we definitely have weapons, or we definitely have mechanisms to combat fraud. And I just want to speak about two key aspects. One is or two key stages where you can detect fraud. One is customer onboarding. So customer onboarding is just, as I said, the beginning of everything. And then we also have presentation attacks or deepfake attacks, not only in the beginning, but also when a client is already enrolled or registered. And those attacks can occur anytime when that client is allegedly interacting, operating online, etc. So to begin with, I want to share this slide with you that shows the different types of fraud that we are facing when it comes to document frauds. So just to give you an idea, at Veridas, we are experts in ID verification, and we do it by combining three different technologies, three different pillars: ID document verification, face biometrics, and voice biometric. So this is one of the pillars, and when we deal with documents, these are some of the attacks that we normally have to deal with. It is really important to ensure robust document validation, and for that we deploy more than 30 different types of algorithms. And here you can see three categories of document fraud, from the easier to the most complex one. So for instance, we have fraudsters that what they do is they simply try to use a document capture from another device. So for instance, I take a picture of a document, and then I display that picture on a screen and try to onboard by displaying that picture on the screen, or I simply print a document. Those are the let's put it this way, the most simple and straightforward frauds, but also the most common, to be transparent. Then we also face document tampering, and here you have different levels of sophistication. But we definitely perform security checks, and we validate the correlation between all the information that is displayed on the document itself. So, for instance, on an ID document, you have a visual inspection zone where you can see, your name, your surname, place of birth, etc., etc. And then there's usually an MRZ code, which is an alphanumeric code, or you can also have barcodes. And those codes also contain important information. They follow certain logics. And what we do is we cross-check those references to make sure that everything correlates. So this is a bit more sophisticated, and people, even some fraudsters, don't necessarily follow these procedures, and they get caught at this stage, right? Another example is photo replacement. This is also this also happens really often. We are talking about the case in which you take an ID document and you simply put a picture on top of it to replace that identity. And then on a third level, we have counterfeit documents, and these are really tricky to deal with, but there are still security measures that we apply to detect these cases. We are talking about real experts in creating fake documents, people that can even have access to official devices to print documents. But we do have the technology, for instance, here to read the NFC chip that most documents contain, and that chip is virtually impossible to
replicate.
To replicate. So that's one thing that we can address. And then there's another thing. When it comes to facial biometrics, we also have the capability to perform one-to-end checks. So in case you are a client and you are onboarding, you are enrolling for the first time in a bank, we can cross-check that face, not necessarily the information contained in the document, but only the face against a database of images, thousands, millions of images. And we can perform that cross-check in a matter of seconds. So to give you an idea, we can take an image, compare it to a million images stored in a database, and we will return the result in just a second. And we will tell you whether that particular individual is already contained or not in that database. So even if the ID document was super professionally counterfeited, we still have the ability to cross-check that face against an existing database, and that way deter fraudsters too.
Right, and it doesn't end there, right? Like when a customer is trying to start a video call, for example, with the bank, you are performing those checks as well. You're performing the liveliness check.
Correct.
Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yep, sure. Let me move on. This is just to show you the estimated volumes of fraud that we are dealing with. So more than 10% on average. And these are the type of attacks, not necessarily attacks. This is also important to keep in mind that some of these cases are actually genuine individuals that are the legitimate owners of the document, but maybe they do not have the document at that particular moment. So they just, take a picture of a screen where they have their document or a photocopy. But in other cases, such as a photo replacement, it is really obvious that they are trying to attack the system. So just to give you an idea of the volumes we are dealing with, there's definitely a lot of fraud out there. And these are some of the security verifications I was referring to when it comes to data logic, checksums, photocopy detection, replay attack detection, etc., etc. And moving on to what you were asking, Jovan, as I said, initially you onboard. While you onboard, you are also required not only to scan your ID, but also take a selfie, prove that you are a human being present at that particular moment during the process. So to guarantee that, we carry out liveness detection checks. And the good thing about this is that liveness detection is already a standard in the industry. It's totally regulated. As you can see, there are several types of attacks that we are prepared for. There is a particular ISO 30107, which has two different levels, and we are certified in both by IVITA, a third-party laboratory. And this is how we detect attacks injected in the system. We have specific algorithms to detect deepfakes, for instance. And it's important to take into account that nowadays companies such as Veridas, we have capabilities not only in the backend. We are talking about the backend in this case. We are running algorithms to detect these types of fraud, but we also have capabilities on the front end. So we control the entire process. We are the ones providing SDKs for capturing purposes, and we are the ones guaranteeing that that particular picture is taken in that precise moment, and then it all runs smoothly until the process is completed. If someone tries to inject a video, a picture, or an audio into our system, we detect it, and therefore we flag it as a potential fraud case. I forgot to mention, Jovan, that all our solutions are fully automated and based on AI, but in some cases, regulations also ask for manual reviews. I don't know if that's the case in Montenegro. I'm not 100% sure, but at least in Spain, um, when an individual wants to open a bank account, at the very end of the process, that validation is also reviewed by an agent.
Yes. That will be the case in Montenegro as the bylaws have been passed, and I believe it's going to be similar to the in the other countries of the Western Balkans.
Yeah.
Yes,
Exactly.
is it like the deepfakes that we mentioned right now? They appear to be like the most serious threat so far, right? Because compared to all of these that you have shared on your slide, with deepfakes, the AI is learning a lot, and the some of the videos that I watched, for example, of famous actors, it looks almost real. How do you combat that? You said that your algorithm was also, quick to respond to this.
Exactly. As I say, it's actually a combination between both the front end and the back end. Those videos that are created artificially are necessarily displayed or injected through a different way than other than our SDKs. So that's one step where we trigger those cases. And then let me give you another example. Speaking about the voice biometrics, there are there's certainly technology out there that really creates synthetic voices that resemble a lot real voices. But in any case, those voices are not being naturally powered by vocal cords. They are displayed through speakers, right?
Right.
So that's also a key element. We have a specific algorithms for deepfakes. That's part of our intellectual property, but we also have the ability to detect whether or not an audio is being played from a speaker, or in the other case, if it's a genuine voice that is powered by vocal cords. So that's another way to detect deepfakes, like
Yeah, and I would say it's like a full cycle of digital onboarding, front end, back end, and connecting with us as a partner, because Logate recently partnered up with Veridas to bring this
Mhm.
a solution in full capacity to all of the banks in Montenegro, but also in the region as well, which basically means that you can onboard your clients digitally with maximum safety. All of the checks that Pablo talked about will be done beforehand, and once the person is let in with the agent, they will have all of the info displayed on their screen as well through our contact center solution. And our contact center solution, of course, does not mean to replace your existing contact center solution. It can also be a modular solution that you have for these purposes. And then, of course, that client data is passed on to your CRM or our CRM that we have implemented at on your premises. So I wanted to ask you a little bit, Pablo, about this. Since you have so much experience, I mean, Veritas has so much experience working with banks, starting from the bank that created it, BBVA, how it came to be to other banks, and what are some of the specifics of the markets you entered, maybe, because you just talked about somewhere like agents need to do the manual checks. Can you let us in more about that?
Yeah, sure. So the banking industry is mainly our focus and our main source of revenue. We also work with other industries. We work with public administration. We work with telcos, mobility companies, stadiums. Yeah, we can discuss that on another day. But in this case, we are talking about banking. And we are present not only in Spain, as I said, we provide our proprietary technology to banks in other parts of Europe, and the Americas, North America, Central America, and South America. And actually, we already have offices in the US, in Mexico, in Colombia, in the UK. We're opening an office in Italy soon, so hopefully one day in Montenegro as well. Um, but yeah, we are working with clients globally, and as I said, the banking industry is one of the most regulated industries in the world, and specific regulations apply in each case. And the good thing about the solutions we offer, and the way we offer them via partners, which is the case here. You, for instance, you have the expertise about the infrastructure that the bank is using in Montenegro, in Serbia, in Austria, or wherever. We are the ones providing the technology, and you are the ones integrating that technology into the client infrastructure according to the business logic and so on. Uh, so we're providing modular solutions, modular tools that can easily adapt different customer flows depending on the regulation. So for instance, imagine France may require a liveness detection check at certain point, but then Italy may not. So you can simply plug and play our solution,
Exactly.
drag and drop, and then it will be done. And we are definitely providing solutions for the entire customer life cycle. So as I said, onboarding is just the beginning.
Mm.
Clients can open accounts with our technology, but then they can log in when they are operating online. They can authenticate to approve transactions, for instance, sign with their face. They can recover their passwords. So there are multiple use cases that we are bringing to the market. Um, I can actually share a list with you if you wanna share them with the audience.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, some very interesting use cases. We are, for instance, enrolling minors, so underage people in
Hmm.
Spain. There's not a particular regulation for that, but in this case, BBVA is able to onboard people over 14, and then when they turn 18, they already have the document scan, and at that point, another process is triggered, so that they can comply with regulation to open a bank account and fully operate online. Then there is another very interesting um, section in which we are working, which is face access control management. So we also deploy hardware that can be installed on corporate buildings to manage employee and visitors access in the building. For instance, in our case, I'm today in the office, and when I every morning when I come to the office, I just check with my face, and that's the way. The time and presence system for
Unlocking the iPhone, right?
exactly. I'm locking the screen. Good morning, Pablo. Welcome to the office. And then when I'm done, I do it again, and as simple as that. We're bringing these solutions to stadiums as well. You know that Spaniards, we're fanatics of football, and we are working with La Liga in deploying these systems in stadiums, and this is really a huge opportunity. We are already working with Osasuna, which is the local team. My team, by the way.
I
We
saw the conference at Money
Yes.
2020. Your colleague was speaking
Okay.
with the Osasuna
Yes,
manager.
exactly. That is a really interesting use case. And then voice biometrics is also moving forward. Is really a trend. There is a great appetite for it on the market. We have the ability to authenticate users in a matter of 3 seconds. So I can call my bank, and when the agent responds, or the system, the robot, the IVR, in a matter of 3 seconds, I can say whatever I want in whatever language I want. I will be authenticated. That is a super powerful resource, a super powerful solutions.
And that was implemented for Deutsche Telekom, I believe, that one in particular.
Exactly. Yes, that is already implemented by Deutsche Telekom in Europe. Then we also have other interesting use cases in Austria, for instance, which is one of your markets. Where we are working with Ventacom, which is a carrier provider, and they do ID verification in supermarkets. So you can simply buy a SIM card in a supermarket and be up and running in a matter of
Registered,
30
yeah.
seconds
Mhm.
or 1 minute. Ameria Bank is another interesting case. We're working with Ameria Bank, which is the largest bank in Armenia, which um, some people may think it's a small country. It is a small country, definitely, but it is really interesting how we are growing with them. That was meant to be, a small client with small volumes, and we are duplicating, bringing new use cases. They are opening new doors for us, so telcos in Armenia and so on. And that's basically the business model that we are attaining, and that we wanna replicate in other parts of Europe, in Central Europe, in the Balkans, and so on. And yeah, we're really looking forward to expanding our business in your regions, thanks to partners like Logate.
Thank you for that. And I will just come back to banking, and specifically in Armenia, because they use different alphabet, right?
Mhm.
What was there any issue recognizing those documents and checking them because of a different alphabet?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Jovan. So we are owners of the technology. Our technology is 100% proprietary, which means that we are the ones adapting the technology when required. So this was a particular case in which we were not covering the Armenian document, and we were not able to read those characters. But by training our systems, we are now capable of reading them. And not only that, we have just deployed a global coverage solution. So we are covering all IDs, driver licenses, and passports worldwide. This is just happening right
Mhm.
now. So we are virtually having the option to cover the entire world. So if we are engage with clients in China, in Saudi Arabia, we can now say that we will have the capability to read those documents and onboard clients from those countries.
Perfect.
And again, when it comes to voice biometrics, this is also really relevant aspect, the solution is text and language independent, which means that I can enroll myself in Spanish and then authenticate myself in Chinese, and that will still work. And that's really powerful because you, Jovan, can speak whatever language you want, and you can enroll with Veritas system, and another person in Japan can do the same.
Exactly. And I was just asking about the document specifically in the banking industry because I know that that might be a question from some of our colleagues in the banking industry from Serbia
Mhm.
or North Macedonia, where they use Cyrillics. And in Montenegro also there are some. I think we discussed it with your colleagues that there are some old documents that are in Cyrillics, and
Mhm.
I'm so happy that we can cover the entire spectrum of any languages, alphabets, whatever it is, and still provide uh, reputable results and reliable results. First
Mhm.
of all, and I think that one thing to mention here, especially like with the use case you mentioned, enrolling minors, is of course not only I think that there's like a small chance of a minor trying to to do a heist of the bank or perform a fraud, but still like it's also that matter of proper KYC, like we talked in one of the last episodes, how for example some of the incumbent banks in the UK, they have data that is not correct on their customers. For example, they would enroll their customers in the 70s or 80s, and they would not ask them for their age, for example, which created, of course, a lot of problems now restructuring that data. And
Mhm.
with this process you always have appropriate correct data. You can it's not only good for your safety, of course, and it's not only mandatory because of the law, but it's also good for the customer journey and the customer experience overall.
Mhm. Exactly. That's a good example. Um, when speaking about minors, we usually bring another topic to the table, which is gambling.
Yes.
We are providing solutions for the gambling industry because minors are not allowed to play online, and neither physical casinos. And the good thing is that we are merging these two different worlds, digital and physical identities. We have a really powerful IDB platform that can build bridges between those identities, and therefore I can enroll myself. In this case, if I wanna, uh, bet online, and that specific onboarding is also used when I wanna go to a physical casino and access that casino and play. So that merge between the physical and the digital world is really happening, and it's a very, very interesting challenge that we are already giving response to.
Yeah, and I would say that the customer behavior also may be changing in some of the countries that are seeing a huge influx of Ukrainian refugees and people from Russia fleeing the current situation and the war. And I mean, a lot of the new challenges may arise, especially, for example, and as you said, in the documents and the languages that the banks may not be supporting, but the solution does, Veritas does.
Exactly.
And I would just briefly say that through our contact center solution, what we're basically doing right now, we have the electronic identification, we have the OTP check.
Mhm.
But because of all these legal requirements, and of course, because of first and foremost the security of our clients, we are also integrating Veritas into our own solution, meaning that the agents will have all of this information that Pablo talked about on their display. How do you see our cooperation, Pablo? I would like to ask you.
I mean, I guess we can potentially be the perfect match. We're already working together, and as I said, Jovan, we offer complementary solutions. You are the ones providing the infrastructure, deploying the technology, getting really in-depth knowledge of your clients, your territory, and on the other hand, we are the ones providing the core technology behind it. So, as I said, document validation, face biometrics, voice biometrics. I think this is definitely a win-win, and this is how we should tackle the market and address our joint proposal.
Yeah, I cannot agree more. If there are any questions from the audience, please feel free to ask them as we're nearing the end of our session. I would just like to mention that this whole today episode was dedicated to our partnership and how we combat KYC and frauds, and how we enable digital onboarding together for a maximum reliability and trust. And also, in the future, we plan to organize sessions in the Balkans as the PSD2 regulations progress in other countries. In Montenegro, at the end of the year, we'll be seeing some of the first use cases, which we're very excited about. And of course, we will be organizing some mutual events, but that will come. That kind of information will come out soon. Pablo, thank you so much for your time. I think this was very valuable just to get the overview of the potential threats that are lurking there, and also the solutions that are addressing that, thanks to Veridas. And I'm really glad to be working together with you, because I do know that Logate was looking for a partner, and Veridas came to be as the best of the best. Really, there was no competition. So I would just want to stress that out for all of the clients that are watching right now. We know what we're doing, and we're partnering with the right guys. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for your inputs. I believe this was very valuable, and I'm sure we'll be talking in the future and doing another session in the future as well.
Sure thing. Likewise, Jovan, it's been a pleasure, and thank you for everything. We are really happy to be working together.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. If you have any questions, you can ask them via email. You can reach out on LinkedIn as well, and we'll be sharing all the materials, including the video, Spotify episode as every time. So you'll be on Spotify, Pablo, and you can listen to the episode again. And of course, we'll be sharing all the documents that Pablo was sharing as well, the presentation and our very own partnership models. So.
And any other resources, I can also share them, Jovan, in case you are interested in sharing them with the audience.
Yes, of course. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And thank you for your time, and thank you for watching. See you at the next episode. We'll hope to be in 2 weeks. So it will be an interesting one. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jovan. Bye.